Hello and welcome to the conclusion of many weeks' work, where I have been reviewing and comparing different stand mounts HiFi speakers in the price category of up to £2,000, but really starting from about £1,500 and going up to £2,000. I have already completed group tests for stand mount speakers costing up to £1,350, and you will find these videos in my YouTube channel, and I compared 10 different speakers at that price point. And before that, I compared stand mount speakers up to £650, and again all of those videos are in my YouTube channel and you can easily find all of them on the channel's home page. But why do these group tests? Well, it's intended really to try and help you whittle down a shorter list of speakers that you might be interested to go and listen to for yourself, and really it's to try and identify the differences between the speakers, their individual characteristics, their stronger points and maybe their weaker points. And by saying that a speaker has a weaker point, it's not really necessarily even a massive criticism, because no speaker is perfect. So really just highlighting the strengths and the weaker points is again hopefully to help you decide, these priorities are more important to me, maybe these are less important, in which case I prefer the look of this speaker or the sound of this speaker to go and listen to for yourself. And in this video I will be giving you just a quick synopsis of the 7 speakers that I have compared for this group test, with their pros and cons, or really maybe sometimes just points of note. And I will tell you at the end which speaker I have declared as the best in this category. But do remember, if you have come to this video first, I have already created individual speaker reviews for every speaker here, and also some sound demonstration comparison videos, and they will all be listed and linked to in the video description box, which you can find down below. So with that introduction out of the way, we've got a lot to cover, so let's begin. The Dynaudio Evoke 20 is a speaker that makes a big impact and impression on you straight away. They have a nice overall form and build, some very interesting speaker technology packed into them, and I think a very strong overall sound character. The Evoke 20 sound big and bold with very impressive bass. They have a real get up and go sound that makes them fun to listen to, and especially fun to listen to lively, upbeat modern music played loud. And they definitely put a smile on your face with the right music. I think an extension of this are the overall dynamics. Really it's the macro dynamics where the Evoke 20 really shine. They sound very big and express the music with real energy. The bass the Evoke 20 can deliver for a modest sized stand mount speaker is extremely impressive for being solid, rounded and impactful, and this has the knock-on effect of warming the whole presentation so vocals sound very nicely saturated. There is also noticeable more bass extension compared to some of the other speakers here. The Evoke 20 are big, bold and fun to listen to, but that does come at the expense of some subtlety and inner or micro details. This is probably more of a point of note, but I found the Evoke sounded more dynamic and more expressive with a more powerful and higher quality amplifier. I feel these speakers are a little more demanding of the amplifier, and I also found the timing of the amplifier to be very important. Overall, the Dynaudio Evoke 20 are a very compelling speaker at their price point, which is £1,800 at the time of making this video, and they definitely make a big impression on you very quickly. Some might even call them fan-damn-tastic. However, when you listen to them at more length and compare them, some of their shortcomings do stand out, but like I said, no speaker is perfect. And I do feel the Evoke 20 are very easily worth your consideration, and they easily deserve a Pursuit of Perfect System's Essential Audition Award. Moving on to the Sonus Faber Sonetto II, these make a big impression on you for a very different reason. One of them, I think, being very obvious. You might expect a Sonus Faber speaker to be styled nice, and the Sonetto II really are. I like the colour and I like the bold look at me design. However, I appreciate some might find the silver driver surrounds a little overbearing, but the tweeter definitely looks particularly nice. The curved shape of the cabinet massively stands out in this group test. Not only is it curved, it has a unique profile with the visual layers of wood. I think that just looks really lovely, and it massively stands out at this price points. Maybe it's the cabinet, maybe it's the tweeter or the paper mid bass driver, maybe it's the crossover, or likely it's a bit of them all. The Sonetto II resolved their sound very well. The tweeter is very clear and crisp sounding, and overall the speaker delivers fantastic subtlety and inner and micro details. Also, I found that they will definitely tell you if you don't have things properly dialed with your hi-fi system. Again, a sign of a speaker's excellent resolution. Overall, and especially compared to the Evoke 20, the Sonetto II are more calm and relaxed, and maybe a little bit subdued in their overall presentation and dynamics. And in a way, this does feel harsh to label this as a con because it's probably more of a design choice and difference, but it is a noticeable difference. This also feels a little harsh to label this as a con because the bass from the Sonetto II is good quality and pretty much in line with what you would expect from a stand mount speaker of this size. But again, comparing to the Evoke 20, a speaker of a similar size and price, the Evokes give you a more and deeper bass and a more solid overall sound as a result. The Sonus Faber Sonetto II are a very compelling speaker at their price point, which at the time of making this video is £1,949. So that makes them the most expensive speaker here, but I think their cabinet design, being that unique shape, warrants the slightly higher price. And yes, they are like a chalk and cheese speaker to the Dynaudio Evoke 20, but I feel like they can easily compete in their own way, and some audiophiles would definitely prefer what they do. And as a result, it's easy for me to award Sonus Faber with an essential additional award for the Sonetto II. Moving on to the JBL 4309, which is a very interesting speaker to compare because really it falls under JBL's range of studio monitor speakers, which leads me nicely onto my first pro. As a speaker and as a thing, there was just something about them that I really liked. The 4309 are cool. I just loved their styling. I love the look of the horn, and I love the fact that you can have, albeit a smaller JBL studio monitor speaker for this kind of money. I'm putting this as a pro loosely because it wasn't perfect, but the 4309 are a pretty flat frequency response in my room speaker, which is what you would want in a studio monitor speaker. I know this is a JBL studio monitor thing, however, having some designed in sound tailoring adjustment is always very welcome. Even though I thought the 4309 sounded best when you leave it alone, obviously your mileage may well vary. I think this might be a design or part of the studio monitor sound. The 4309 sound really quite lively with dynamics, a bit PA speaker live-ish, which could be a good thing, but I found them to not image as well left to right as some of the other speakers here. This is a nitpick, but I hated the speaker cable terminals. They are small, recessed into the back of the speaker, so hard to get your hands on, and I wished this design trend would stop forever. I'm not sure if using the term musicality is the correct one, but in terms of sitting and just listening to the speakers and relaxing and falling into the music, I found this harder with the 4309 than say with the Evoke 20 and the Sonetto II. The sound was just a little hard and a little unforgiving. But as I said in their review, I felt that this could be a system synergy situation. But I do think the 4309 will be a Marmite speaker. Some audiophiles will get it and love them, and others will still prefer something else, which is what it's all about. But I do think the fact that you can have a JBL studio speaker for the current price of £1,799 is cool, whichever way you look at it. And they should definitely be on your demo list, providing you're not looking for a really smooth sounding speaker. So I'm happy to award JBL with the Pursuit of Perfect System Essential Audition Award for the 4309. Next up is the Arendal 1723 THX, and these made a big impression on me, literally. These are physically very big and heavy speakers, which is one thing, but they sound huge too. They create a very big sound in terms of the overall scale with great dynamics, and that was instantly impressive and stand out. Having dual 8-inch drivers in a huge cabinet is probably no surprise that these speakers delivered the most bass output and extension in the group test. The impressive part was how smooth and graceful their bass delivery was. Not brutal as you might think from home cinema orientated speakers, Nope, the bass was smooth and cleanly delivered. The 1723 measured the smoothest and the flattest of all the speakers in this group test, with excellent treble extension even from a soft dome tweeter. I was extremely impressed by how clean the 1723 sounded, and I felt like they showed me the sound character of what my upstream HiFi system sounds like the most in this group test. The 1723's timing is excellent from top to bottom. Excellent. Yes, visually the 1723 are a little rudimentary, especially compared to the lovely styled cabinet of the Sonetto II, but their build quality is excellent. They are built like tanks with their HDF cabinet, but the bit that stood out to me was actually the rear panel of the speaker with the rhodium plated copper speaker cable terminals. Other manufacturers take note of this because this is what we want. I don't really see their size as a con, but it's 100% a point of note. These are not your ordinary stand mount speakers. They are more like floor standing speakers that you place on a stand. They are very heavy as well. That leads me on to my next con. You might need to buy specific stands for these speakers that are strong and extra stable, especially if you have young children in the home, and Arendal's dedicated stands are the most child and speaker safe, but they are a little spendy. I found it took me a little bit of time to get the 1723 placed right for towing and time alignment to get them to sound their best, which is no biggie really, except again they are big and heavy, so that makes the job a little harder. But it's important that you get this right, otherwise these speakers can sound a little phasey. But for me, the pros of the 1723 massively outweigh their cons, and their performance for their current price of £1,799 makes them extremely compelling speakers. And in a way, they go totally against the whole point of a stand mount speaker to be compact and domestic friendly. But if you can talk the wife into letting you have them over the much prettier Sonus Fabers, for example, their performance is seriously impressive for the money. And in that regard, I award them Pursuit of Perfect System's Serious Bang for Buck award. Moving on to the JBL HDI1600. It was interesting to have a different JBL speaker included that uses the same tweeter, but as I showed you in the review, they are designed quite differently as speakers. The HDI1600 for me is the epitome of the all-rounder, with good clarity, good composure and control, good imaging, good vocals, good bass, which is all good, but often the speaker like this can appear to play it a little safe. Initially, the overall shape and form factor of the HDI1600 felt a little strange, but when you place them down on some speaker stands, they sit just really nicely on them, and their mainly rectangle shape makes sense. It's functional. And I think the speakers look nice, understated to a degree, but nice. This is possibly something I got wrong in the review, because despite looking like one, the HDI1600 doesn't actually have a horn, it has a waveguide, which is likely why they don't sound like a horn speaker. I actually found them to sound relatively smooth in the treble, but rolled off a bit and a bit play it safe. There is nothing wrong with a speaker that plays it safe. It means most music will sound good, and you will be able to play the speakers loud, and you can play the HDI1600 loud, party or movie loud, and they stay composed, but that does mean that they are maybe a little less exciting or thrilling in some ways than some of the other speakers here. I think the HDI1600 is a grower and not a shower speaker. It doesn't grab your attention initially, but there is nothing to push you away either, and that could be exactly what you are looking for, a speaker that you can just listen to without too much fuss. And given their slightly lower price than a few of the others here, £1,499 at the time of this video, for that reason I think they are definitely a Pursuit of Perfect System Essential Audition Award speaker. Moving on to what appeared to be the people's champion, the Quad Z2. There was a lot of love for the Z2 from you lot, and a reasonable amount of love from me too. The Z2 is a very nice looking speaker, especially in this white finish, and while not as alluring as the Sonetto II, there is definitely something stand out about them visually. Maybe it's their unusual winkle picker shape. One of the biggest standout strengths of the Z2 was their ability to create tangible sonic images across a soundstage. They had great width, but also I think with a different setup would deliver sound with great depth too. Far from the largest speaker here, the Z2 could deliver really punchy and articulate bass, being a little more light-footed and nimble than the JBL HDI1600. I'm clarifying this as male vocals, but really what I'm saying is that there was excellent clarity from the woven carbon fibre mid-bass driver, about equal to the Sonetto II paper mid-bass driver, but also with a more punchy bass, which is very impressive. The ribbon tweeter stood out for being fast and clean and crisp sounding, and it really helped the overall sound to be more free of the speakers. Their sound really popped off of the background more. The Z2 did a lot of things right, but they did have some of what I'm calling their own character. And with some music, there was a bit of edginess or a bit of unevenness or maybe a lack of composure in the upper mid-range region, but only noticeable with some music. The Quad Z2, based on their looks alone, are an essential Audition speaker, and especially for their price of £1,495, which I think makes them the most affordable speakers here by just a hair. But do remember, it's important to sniff your port bungs when you remove them. And last but certainly not least, that leaves the curveball, the Neat Acoustics Ministra, which are an interesting speaker because of their design. They are designed to be used close to the front wall, very close in fact, which is the opposite to most speakers, and yet that is how a lot of audiophiles have to set up their speakers for domestic reasons, so let's not overlook the importance of this. The Ministra sound very fast and precise. The ribbon tweeter sounds lightning fast, and there is no bloom or overhang with them anywhere in their sonic delivery. They are very tight, focused, clean and clear sounding speakers. The stereo image the Ministra create is very clear and again precise. The vocals sound particularly impressive for soundstage as they appear in space or with space around them. There is a charm about the Ministra in terms of their build and overall how they feel in your hands. They also have the benefit of being extremely compact. The overall tonal balance of the Ministra is lively at the top end, which makes me think that some careful system matching would be important to think about here. The Ministra's bass is very tight, fast and agile, but in terms of the amount and scale of bass, it's very dependent on you having them close to the walls, and that is very important. But even so, I think compared to some of the other speakers here that are larger, they won't deliver the same overall bass scale and power. The Ministra are lively, fast speakers with good overall imaging and quite a tall sound for their modest size, but overall their dynamics, and again especially their bass dynamics, are perceived as less than some of the other speakers here. The Neat Acoustics Ministra are therefore a situation specific speaker. But if that is your situation and you want a very compact, very nice looking speaker to place close to your walls, probably in a smaller room, then they are very much an essential Audition speaker. And so there we have it, all 7 speakers of the group test briefly summarised. And remember, this is just a conclusion summary. If you'd like the more detailed reviews, please go and watch the speakers' individual reviews. Again, they're all listed and linked to in the video description box down below. Before I tell you which of these speakers I'm declaring as the best speaker in this category, I just want to clarify what this actually means. In order for one of these speakers to be declared as the best, it needs to perform in every single area at least to the same level as all the other speakers in this category for their strong standout points. Because if it doesn't, how can you claim that it's the best speaker when another one is better than it? To do that would just be stupid. But there is one speaker here that I think actually does that and definitely deserves the mantle of the best speaker in this price category. And that is the Arendal 1723 THX. Yes, it's almost like cheating having a floor standing speaker disguised as a stand mount speaker. I totally agree. But the 1723 are an excellent speaker that was able to deliver in every single area of performance at the same level as all the other speakers, and actually better than a lot of them in a lot of areas, with the one exception maybe being soundstage, but they're so close as to not really being too much of an issue. Yes, the 1723 are massive speakers and they won't be for everyone as a result, but the great news is you have several other great options to choose from. If you want big bass and lively, buy the Evoke 20. If you want relaxed and musical with style, buy the Sonetto II. If you want soundstage and liveliness, buy the Z2. If you want an easy ride, buy the JBL HDI1600. If you want studio cool, buy the JBL 4309. And if you want small and close to the wall, by the Ministra. But for me, what I like, what my priorities are, how I would be able to incorporate the speakers into maybe a home cinema system, how I would be able to manage their sound within my room using Dirac Live, how they measured in my room without any of that, and just generally, I suppose, the sound and how they made me feel about listening to music. The Arendal 1723 THX are very worthy winners of the best in class for this particular group test. But I do know that I haven't looked at every single speaker available at this price point, and some of you are bound to get comments in the thing, you know, why did you not consider this speaker? And I'm bound to get hit with the Bucar S400 Mark II, which is a very interesting speaker. Well, look, what I'm going to say is you're totally right, and what I've done here is really created a great foundation and really, I suppose, laid the gauntlet out to all the other speaker manufacturers that are manufacturing speakers around this price point. All the speakers here have done a great job and can deliver great sound, and they've set out a great stall for me to maybe build upon in the future as I consider and review other speakers at this price point. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy it, make sure you hit the thumbs up button, and if you're new here, obviously consider subscribing to the Pursuit of Perfect System YouTube channel, because I have loads of hi-fi, home cinema and other related content already in the channel, 900 plus videos in the channel, and more coming all the time. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.